Hi, friends and family. It's Gina with Hope and Cope. Thanks for joining me today. So my topic today, I felt last week when I talked about dragging the past into the future, I felt like I really didn't bring it all home. So I wanted to, about how to specifically apply it to situations with addiction or someone else's life choices that drive us crazy or that affect us in a negative way. So although I used a great example, I just still wanted to do a part two. So let's say, so if you didn't watch that video, I'll try to remember to link it in the description below. I don't know how yet to put it on the screen, which that's okay. Someday I might know how to do those things. It's probably just a simple little following instructions that I haven't done. But anyway, I digress. Okay, so dragging the past into the present. How to apply that to a relationship with a loved one that has an addiction. We all too many times can let someone's behavior that we don't either approve of, we feel like it's harmful to them, we feel like it's dangerous, maybe they've lost a job or two, maybe it's impairing their judgment, we're really concerned about them, but for the moment they are doing okay. Like, let's say it's a family member and when you see them, they're always in a good place. They don't come around unless they're doing pretty good. They don't come around messed up. They only come around when they're, showered and shaved and mostly sober. So, but we can act like we can bring what we know from the past, or even as if it is from the present. We know this is your life choices, but they're trying to not bring that into today. They're trying to just enjoy the day, but we won't allow that because we want to bring it up. We want to bring up what we heard through the family grapevine, or we want to talk about what we saw a couple weeks ago, or we want to mention that you didn't call me and you didn't come to that thing and you were supposed to be there and you weren't there, and so we can spoil a perfectly good time today. And everybody just has to go through life at the best place that they know how, using the best wisdom they can. So I'm not trying to tell you to never bring up things that you feel like are important to bring up. I am just trying to say there's probably a time and a place for everything. And maybe if you haven't seen this loved one in a month, maybe that's not the time. And maybe when other people are around and it's a family gathering, or, they're coming and they want to have a good time with you and they want to enjoy your company, and you're just going to lay this heavy stuff, and why do you do what you do, and why don't you call me, and why don't you come around other times, or why don't you come to church, or why don't you whatever, and then we bring those things that are so uncomfortable. We feel like we need to know these things. But if we could learn to rein it in and maybe save that for a special time, like if you wanted to have a conversation with somebody, to say, when you come over Tuesday, can we have a conversation? When you come over, can we talk? I've got some things on my heart. That's one thing. Then to just throw things out there. Maybe it's inappropriate. Maybe other people are around. Maybe it's a birthday party, or maybe they just stopped by to pick up the kids, or to, drop something off, or borrow the lawnmower, or something like that. And then we're going to just kind of just swoop in and lay all this stuff on them. And my point is, what I'm trying to say is, try to realize that there's a time and a place. And every time is not the time, and every place is not the place. And there's a scripture that says, a word fitly spoken in due season is like apples of gold and pitchers of silver. And I think what that's trying to say is when we do something, when we bring something up at the right time, in the right spirit, with enough time to really get to the heart of things, or when that person's in a good place, then it can be more effective than just like throwing anything at the wall and seeing if it sticks. Like just every time that person sees you, they know that you're going to be, you're just going to really be hammering. And we do that because we feel like we have to seize the moment. We do that because we feel like we have to take every opportunity that we have to get to the bottom of it or find out what's going on. And why did you leave your wife? Or, why did you, what happened when you lost your last job? Or, I heard this happened, and what was the story there? Just different things like that. And people don't want to be hounded. They just really don't. And what that's going to do, what I feared, I'll just keep it personal, what I feared that was going to do in my relationships is it was going to put distance between me and those people. And that's what I didn't want. Now, if that's what you want, if you want them to not come around, if you think, I don't want that in my family, I don't want my kids exposed to that, I don't want the drama, I don't want them around. If that's your goal, then that's your goal. And I'm not judging that as a goal. I mean, everybody has to do what they feel like is right for them for that time. What's right for you now wasn't right for you a year ago, and you might determine in another 6 months it's not right in the future. But for right now, we're all just seeking our best path of how we can cope and how we can have serenity. I've talked about serenity in other videos. And so we're all just doing the best we can, right? Having loved ones with addiction doesn't come with a handbook. It comes with Al-Anon, which is a great tool. I've talked about it in the past. I still will recommend it every time that I bring it up. But what works at one time might not work at another time. But what I'm trying to say is when I had people in my life that their life choices were hurtful to me, I didn't feel like it was to my advantage or to my loved one's advantage for me to bring those things into every conversation. That I wanted to make this particular event as good as it could be, because I wanted to keep that line. I wanted to keep that tether between me and that loved one. I wanted to express my love and my unconditional acceptance, and not acceptance of inappropriate behavior, not acceptance of, violence or whatever it is, but that I am going to love you. I'm not going to say what you're doing is okay. I'm not going to put my stamp of approval on things that I don't feel like are correct or right or good. And it's not always for me to judge. Don't ask me. Don't ask me or I'll give you my opinion. But I wanted to leave that line of communication open. I wanted the chance to get to love on that one. I wanted to get the chance to love and say, I love you. I really love you. I really miss you. I love it when you come. Please always come. Please know you're welcome. Please know I'm always praying for you. Please know I care. And I wanted to leave that open. I wanted to be a person that they knew they could trust. Even if not, my friends and family can watch these videos and they might say, I have not felt that way. I felt judged. I felt cut off. I felt snubbed. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm just saying what my goal was. My goal was to love that person. My goal was to put that person and the relationship above the actions, to separate the two, especially when you're talking about addiction, because to an extent, you've got a third influence. You've got you and that other person that you're in relationship with. And then you've got addiction, and it has its own influence, and it has its own mind. It does. It has its own mind. And It's desperate to be protected and to always find a way for that next fix, whatever that is, whatever the drug of choice is. That addiction's always working to make sure there's a path to the next fix. So, and that could be beyond your loved one's desire. Your loved one may desire to be clean and sober and not have the power to change in that moment, in that time. They're going to need all the support they can get when they're ready, when they hit their bottom. And these are other topics I'm going to talk about in other videos. But when they get ready and they hit their bottom, I wanted with my loved ones to be able to have an influence to say, I know you can do it. I know you've got greatness in you. I know God's got a great plan for you. I see greatness in you. You're amazing. I wanted to plant all those seeds because that stinking thinking is not telling them any of that. And I wanted to be able to counter those things. And I want, and then bringing it back home to my husband. He was in rehab so many times. I was away from him so many days. And I could have genuinely just, really been resentful. I did. I resented. I had a lot of resentment. I struggled with it on the inside. Oh my goodness. I struggled with it. Prayed about it. Asked God to help me and asked God to comfort me. But I tried when I was with him to be a comfort, to be an inspiration, to want to be clean and sober. If all I did every time he was around was use my tongue to slice, wound, then he would, I'd leave, right? I'd leave him at rehab. I'd go visit him, cut him apart, and then leave and go back home and hope that he recovers. And I just didn't want to do anything to add pain, to add suffering, to add shame. I didn't want to do anything to add shame. There's enough shame in addiction. Most of the time, typically, there's enough shame in addiction. We don't need to add to it. And so I wanted to go and be loving and supportive, speak positive words over him, speak positive words over our marriage, and tell him I knew he could do it. Tell him I knew he could rise above it. And, the truth is that never really happened. But I want to be the person that has faith to the end, faith to the very end. And that's a topic about faith and about my relationship with God. That's not necessarily what I'm talking about today. But I do want my faith to drive everything that comes out of my mouth. And I'm not saying it does. I'm not saying that sometimes some really unkind, ungracious things don't come out of my mouth. I am not saying that. I'm just saying it's my goal that my actions and my words always reflect the faith that God deserves. He deserves faith that we know that in any situation He is able and He is capable of turning things around. We have to agree with Him. We have to submit to Him, and we have to not do things our old ways. We can't lie, steal, and chill. Lie, steal, and cheat our way into recovery. But if we'll be honest and humble and let ourselves learn something and be willing to try something different, then I believe we can find our way to recovery, and our loved ones can find their way to recovery. So just think about next time when you're with that nephew that has a drug problem, or they can't keep a job and you think there's some underlying something going on. We don't have to jump on them. We don't have to be unkind or judgmental, and whatever it is, whether it's a close family member or not. I just want to encourage you to let those things be in their own space. And when you get the opportunity to be with those people, to just be kind, to just be supportive and loving, and take the opportunity not to criticize or judge, and not to spoil. You don't want it to spoil. That was the whole thing of bringing the past into the present. You don't want it to spoil today. What if today would be a perfectly beautiful day if we didn't bring those things up? What if it would? What if it would just be a real treasure, and you'd get moments with that loved one that you never dreamed you would get, and you have words and conversation with that loved one that you didn't expect, because your words were kind, and because you left the past. You left what happened last week, or what your sister-in-law told you that your nephew did, and you're just all upset. If we would let that be separate and not bring it into today's situation, then we could maybe really get some beautiful opportunities. So I just want to encourage you to try to not let past experiences influence us when we get an opportunity with our loved ones. Now, it could be a child living in your home and you get daily opportunities, but we still don't want to destroy our influence with them. I didn't want to destroy my influence with my loved ones. I wanted to be somebody that they knew if their heart was broken or they were having a moment of clarity, that they could call me, and I was going to be kind. I wasn't going to beat them over the head with, "I told you so," or "You're nothing but a failure." No, I did not want to do that, and I don't want you to do it either. The day will come. Some days the day comes, there's a reckoning, and we have to answer for the things that we say. And we have to answer for the way we treat people. And even if we feel angry and we feel bitter and we feel resentful and we feel like that person deserves to know, she needs to know how I feel. Well, I'm not saying we can't tell people how we feel, and I'm not saying that I haven't told people how I feel. I'm just telling you that I think the better wisdom is to not let past experience rob us of a good opportunity today to get to love on somebody that's hurting, and to have mercy and grace in a situation that maybe we don't fully understand. Maybe we don't. And maybe we could be humble enough to realize that we don't. And if we would listen and be gracious and loving, maybe we get a different outcome. So I hope that helps you. Please let me know in the description, in the comments below, if this is helpful. Let me know if you've got other topics you would like to hear. I have a lot of things that swirl around in my head. Then when I sit down here, sometimes I'm like, I don't know what to talk about. But I really do want to be helpful. And so please let me know in the comments below if you have any suggestions. And remember, I'm always praying for you every day. I remember to pray for the people that watch these videos and for your situations, and for you to have comfort and for God to be with you and minister to you. And if you enjoyed this, please press the like button. If you think you know somebody that could benefit from this type of content, please share it with them. And if you subscribe, you'll know when I'm posting a video, which I try every week to post a video. So we'll see. I'm doing the best I can. I love you guys so much. Until next time, bye.